Girl best friend sent me nudes. I'm a 23-year-old male slash, and my best friend, like 22-year-old female slash, have been the best of friends for about 4 years now. But due to this recent event, I feel confused and somehow conflicted. I had a slight physical attraction to her when I first met her, but it quickly disappeared since I disliked her attitude at the time. Mostly cold and always has resting witch face. Never thought I'd get along with her, but I did somehow, and we became the best of friends. I'm her opposite, joyful, bubbly, and everyone's friend type of person. We never had a romantic phase in between those 4 years. It was just a perfect friendship. At least that's how I looked at it. We occasionally had those conversations with, maybe in a different life, we'd be together. There's no harm in either party. We're both currently single, but anyways, it just happened way too fast. I was in the gym doing my routines while being in post-breakup like a normal dude would do. Suddenly, she asked me for help, so I told her, "What's up?" And she told me she needs a guy's advice. And I'm really the only dude she trusts wholeheartedly and without doubt. She asked that a guy asked her for a spicy pic and was asking me what kind would be good. My mind didn't immediately go into the gutter and was not expecting that I was getting any at all. This is the first time she ever done this. I immediately responded to how or what she would expect from a best friend, because that's how I look at her. After a brief conversation between us, me, well, how spicy are we talking? Like spicy to get him hooked or actual nudes? Her, if I send you some pics, can you tell me or give me some advice? Don't worry, it's PG. Well, 50-50. Me started typing my reply when she said it's PG. Oh yeah, for sure. Unless I had a brief hesitation because I'm like, WTF? But I went, okay. She said it's PG, her. Not even a second after I said, yeah, sure. She sends me a bunch of her definitely NSFW photos and definitely not PG. I had to take a moment because it was never in my system to like her that way. But of course, I'm just human and a guy. I see breasts I like. After recomposing myself, I gave my honest opinions and advice on what she should do and depending on her intentions. After the conversation, I had to take a moment just to think about what happened again, because I may have a crush or be infatuated with my best friend now. I'm confused and conflicted. I spoke to a very trusted friend about this, and he was telling me that my best friend might be into me because no normal girl would do that with their guy best friend, no matter the circumstances. Please give me your humble advice and wisdom, my friends. Slight update. Wow, I wasn't expecting this much feedback. I really appreciate it, guys. I'll keep you guys in the loop. Here's a bit more context of what our friendship is like and a bit of an update. She's the person who was the one who kept to herself more and was close-minded. On the other hand, I was the open-minded one and told her everything except for this, or I might be talking to her about this sometime soon. She's brought up to me a few times that her quality of life definitely turned around since she met me. We met a couple of months after her dad died, and of course, because of her grief, she spiraled down and was self-destructive. We became friends soon after. I was the only person who she enjoyed being with no alcohol involved or not because some guy got into her pants. She's a country girl, I'm a city boy. Total polar opposites. On the other hand, I'm an altruistic person. I do a lot of things without expecting anything in return. So, without knowing until my previous ex pointed this out, I was giving my best friend the boyfriend treatment, doing nice things for her that a significant other would or should. I stopped doing that after it was pointed out that now, especially that I'm single, I feel like I need an outlet. I'm used to spoiling someone and doing things for someone. Acts of service is my love language. All of my friendships got neglected during my previous relationship, and I'm rekindling them. My best friend and I barely hang out these days, and it seems just because she moved 45 minutes out of town. A lot of times our plans get canceled or none are made at all. So here's the update. I asked her if this is something she will be interested in. I've planned this arrangement for quite a while, way before she even sent me those pics, because I really want to hang out and catch up with her. I offered to her if she would like the idea of me coming over every weekend or every other weekend to cook dinner for us. It's a great excuse to hang out and catch up. I told her I don't mind driving all the way out of town since I've got a lot of time on my hands these days, and she won't have to pitch in for the ingredients. I have a background in cooking, and I do enjoy cooking as a hobby, and cooking for someone else is something I deeply enjoy. Needless to say, she said yes enthusiastically, and even made a joke. Conversation went like this. Me. Would you be interested in having dinner every weekend or every other weekend? I'll cook for us, and I don't mind driving, and you don't have to pitch in as well. Also, free dinner. Her. I sent you an unclothed one time, and you're trying to spoil me now. Me. Me kinda dumb, just reacted as I felt le mayo steet few. Her. My weekends are very tight these days, but I'll start squeezing you in. Another conversation that I've mentioned in the comments was I asked her if she would come to a wedding with me as my date. I was invited to a friend's wedding. I was planning on going with my ex, but that has changed since I had to let her go a few months back, as it was a toxic relationship. I was initially not planning on going alone, since I'm not really going to be bored at all as I took on the responsibility of being the MC for the wedding. But I tried to invite her to see her reaction and just see. I asked her if she would like to come with me to the wedding a couple of months from now. She replied unenthusiastically with a LOL, yeah, but followed up with some interest, asking about the event, like when is it and how fancy. So the bottom line is, she's my date to a wedding a couple months from now. Till Andy minor update. Hopefully, the link to my comment below gets linked properly. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Okay, but since when is sharing unclothed pictures with your best friend a common thing? It's really weird, and she definitely wanted to get a reaction out of you. Maybe she's into you, but you'll have to do something and find out for yourself. Comment 2. Tell her that none of the pictures are quite right, but not to worry. It's just a lighting and angles thing. And then offer to help by taking unclothed pictures of her yourself tonight. Haha. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So, remember how I mentioned that my best friend sent me those nudes? Well, things escalated, and not in the way you might think. I made a mistake, a big one. I thought I was helping her out by being honest about the photos, but it turns out she took my advice the wrong way. She thought I was into her, like really into her, and she started acting weird around me. One day she just blew up at me, accusing me of leading her on. She said I was giving her mixed signals, cooking for her, asking her to be my date to a wedding, and then talking about her photos like I was some kind of expert. I was shocked. I never meant to give her the wrong idea. I was just trying to be a good friend, but I guess I crossed the line without realizing it. The aftermath was messy. She started avoiding me, canceling our dinner plans, and when I tried to talk to her about it, she wouldn't listen. It felt like our friendship was falling apart, and it was all my fault. I was so frustrated with myself. I didn't know how to fix things. But then, another event turned everything upside down. Her ex-boyfriend came back into the picture. He was bad news, the kind of guy who left a trail of trouble wherever he went. She started seeing him again, and I knew it was a mistake. I tried to warn her, but she wouldn't listen to me. She thought I was just jealous or trying to control her life. It all came to a head one night when she called me in tears. Her ex had cheated on her again, and this time she was done for good. She was heartbroken, and despite everything, I couldn't leave her to deal with it alone. I went over to her place, and we talked for hours. I told her I was sorry for the confusion I caused, and she apologized for not listening to my warnings about her ex. We started to rebuild our friendship slowly. It wasn't easy, but we both knew we didn't want to lose what we had. We set some boundaries, made sure we were both clear on where we stood with each other, and things started to get back to normal. And then, out of the blue, she did something that changed everything. She stood up at that wedding, in front of everyone, and made a speech. She talked about friendship and how important it is to have someone who will tell you the truth, even when it's hard to hear. She thanked me for being that person for her, and it was like all the tension between us just melted away. We're not back to where we were before all this happened, but we're getting there. It's going to take time, but I think we'll be okay. We've been through a lot, but I think it's made our friendship stronger in the end. Thanks for reading. My husband pushes our kids too hard and cheats after losing his job. So I take the kids and leave him scrambling to fix his broken life. My 28 years old female husband, 26 years old male, is generally very good with our kids. 2.5-year-old boy and 1-year-old boy. I am 7 months pregnant with our third boy. We have been married almost 4 years and together for 5 years. When things are good, they're great. He's involved, plays with the kids, and helps with the house while working full-time. I stay home with the kids, and the plan is to go back to work once they're older. But for now, it actually saves us money for me to be home with them. My husband is often stressed or otherwise cranky, and has been known to take it out on the kids, despite continued efforts on my part to try and make him see how harmful and inappropriate this is, especially towards a 2-year-old. I've been telling him for a year that he's too hard on our baby and expects too much from him. For example, he absolutely loses it if our toddler misbehaves at the table. We'll lecture him extensively about how he's been bad. And on the few occasions when the toddler has accidentally hurt him, my husband makes a huge deal of it. Lately, our toddler looks afraid whenever his dad's temper shows, even in the slightest. The other day, he hit his dad in the groin, my husband says intentionally. But I'm not sure I believe that, and he fell to the floor yelling and berating him. When our 2-year-old tried to apologize, he said, "Go away, I'm not in the mood for you right now," and pushed him away. Our baby was trying to get to him, saying, "I say sorry, I'm sorry, Dada, I'm sorry," and his precious face was just so full of fear, and his dad pushed him away. We have tried marital counseling twice to try and resolve some of our parenting disagreements. He thinks I'm too soft with them. I think he's too harsh. These are the years that shape their whole lives, and they need gentleness, love, and guidance more than harsh discipline. We are currently in a parenting-specific therapy. I'm also in individual therapy, and a lot of what I talk about with my therapist is related to my husband and the issues we have, since they don't seem to be getting resolved the ways I've been trying. I have considered leaving in the past and have taken the kids to my mom's on several occasions when he has crossed a line in my mind. I don't want to break up our family. I love my husband, and I know he loves me and our kids. He said me taking them is his worst nightmare. But he won't listen to me about the damage he's causing by being too harsh and expecting more than they are capable of at this age. And my kids come first. I'm their first and only line of defense at this point in their lives. Recently, I've been feeling more and more like I'm going to have to do something drastic and have an emergency plan in place if I need to just leave immediately. But so far, I have ultimately chosen to keep trying to make it work. But I cannot see my child look at his father with fear anymore. I will not let them grow up like that. Am I being too drastic? What do I do? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He's not that scared of you all leaving if he refuses to make any real changes to his behavior. And frankly, if it comes down to the grown man being afraid of logical consequences for his deliberate choices versus small children being afraid of being at home because of the rage monster who lives there, I know which option I'd pick. Comment 2. Leave him. Some people are not going to change until they hit rock bottom. Some people are not going to change regardless. But this might be the kick in the butt. He needs to crack open a child development book. If it's not enough to kick his butt into gear, then probably nothing will be, and you're better off getting the kids out ASAP. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around. A lot has happened since I last wrote. So, my husband lost his job. Out of nowhere. Just like that. It hit him hard, and you can imagine, it hit us all. He was already on edge most days, but it was like watching a storm cloud burst. I tried to be supportive, but with the baby coming and everything, I was scared too. He started spending more time at home, which you'd think would be good, right? But no, it was like walking on thin ice. The kids felt it too. Our oldest started acting out more, probably because he could sense the tension. And my husband, well, he wasn't handling it well. He got even stricter with the boys, and I was caught in the middle, trying to keep the peace. Then one day, our oldest knocked over a vase. An accident, but my husband, he just lost it. Yelled like I've never seen before. I stepped in and we had it out right there in front of the kids. I told him this couldn't go on, that he was scaring them, scaring me. He stormed out and I was left to pick up the pieces, literally and figuratively. I thought that was the worst of it, but I was wrong. A few days later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was a woman. Said she'd been seeing my husband for months. My world stopped. I confronted him when he got home, and he didn't even deny it. Said it was a mistake, that he was lost and confused because of the job loss, as if that was some kind of excuse. I took the kids and went to my mom's. I had to. I couldn't let them be in that environment. Couldn't let myself be in it either. My mom, she's been my rock. She told me I had to think about the long term, about what was best for the kids and for me. While at my mom's, I got a call from the parenting therapist. She'd been trying to reach my husband, but he wasn't taking her calls. She was worried about us, about the kids. She offered to help, to mediate a conversation between us. I agreed, thinking maybe, just maybe, this could be a turning point. We met at the therapist's office. It was tense, to say the least. My husband looked like he hadn't slept in days. The therapist, she was good, got us talking. And for the first time, I think he really heard me. Saw the fear in my eyes, the determination. I laid it all out, told him this was his last chance. That if he wanted to be a part of our lives, he had to change, had to get help. He agreed to go to individual therapy, to really work on himself. And he did. It wasn't overnight, but things started to change. He got a new job, a fresh start. He was more present with the kids, more patient. I could see he was trying, really trying. But trust, that's not something you rebuild overnight. I'm cautious, always watching for signs of the old him. I've made it clear that I won't hesitate to leave if things go back to how they were. But for now, for the first time in a long time, I feel like there's hope. And then, the baby came. A little boy, healthy and loud. My husband, he was there, right by my side. He cried when he held him, and I saw something in him shift. It was like he finally understood what was at stake, what he could lose. We're taking it day by day. The kids, they're doing better, especially our oldest. He's not so scared anymore, not so quick to hide when his dad raises his voice. And my husband, he's learning to be the father he should have been all along. It's not perfect, far from it, but it's a start. And for now, that's enough. Thanks for reading. My wife tricked me into marriage by lying about birth control, so I exposed her deceit and took control of our future. For context, I started dating my wife when I was 23 and she was 20. A little over half a year after we started dating, she got pregnant, and we decided to keep the child and to get married. As the title suggests, this was not a planned pregnancy on my part. I won't say it was easy to raise a kid when we were really just starting out as adults, but things worked out more or less. Since the birth of our daughter, we've had 2 more kids, both planned, and our daughters are now 15, 10, and 8. Last week, my wife admitted that she had lied about taking birth control when she got pregnant with our first daughter. The reason she gave was that she was afraid that nobody else would love her or support her like I did. I honestly don't know how to wrap my head around it. I don't remember myself being distant or anything like that at the time. I know life hadn't been kind to her, to say the least, before we got together. But I guess I still don't really get it. Before she confessed, I didn't really have anything to complain about in our marriage. It hasn't always been easy, especially since we had a kid before we were really ready. But on the whole, nothing in my life has made me happier than my family. Before this, I would have said we had a very strong emotional bond, and I thought my trust in her was unshakable. I thought she understood me in a way no one else has ever understood me, and I thought I understood her the same way. Before now, I never doubted that she loved me. She always put real effort into our relationship, so I never felt like she took me for granted. There are more than a few things I've given up for my family, and I work long hours to provide for them. But I don't think I ever thought it wasn't worth it. I don't know what to think or feel anymore. On the one hand, the image I had of her has been shattered, and I don't know how to rebuild my trust in her. On the other, if I were to leave, I'd be throwing away my entire life. I know I should want honesty from her, but truth be told, there's a big part of me that wishes she just took that secret to her grave. That part of me thinks it was selfish of her to tell me, because she blew everything up just to assuage her guilt. In the weeks since she's told me, we haven't really communicated much. I told her I needed space to process everything, and she hasn't pressured me to talk or comfort her, nor to put on an act for the kids. But I can tell she's anxious and growing more despondent by the day. I want to comfort her and tell her I love her, but I don't know if it's possible to fix things, and I don't want to draw out my pain or hers if it's not. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Personally, for me, this is a deal breaker. A healthy marriage needs trust to survive, and she has shattered that. She has also proven that she's willing to 1, lie to your face to get what she wants, and 2, continue to lie to you for 15 years. The absolute betrayal. I can't tell you what to do. This is something you're going to have to weigh the pros and cons for yourself and decide what you're willing to live with. Good luck. Comment 2. I wonder how many of these commenters would feel if the roles were reversed. A guy sneakily takes the condom off in the middle of intimacy. We usually call that rap. It does feel a bit double standard-ish. More to the point, no one can make this decision for you. I would recommend starting with therapy for yourself. If you then conclude there's a path to forgiveness, you can start couples therapy to get you there. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around. A lot has happened since my last post. So, my wife's confession about the birth control hit me like a ton of bricks. But that was just the beginning. My sister-in-law, who's always been a bit of a rough card, decided to stir the pot even more. She's been living with us for a while now, and I've always felt like she's taken advantage of our hospitality, but I never said anything. I guess I should have. Last month, she crashed my car. She took it without asking and ended up rear-ending someone. The car was totaled, and to make matters worse, she didn't have a license. The insurance wouldn't cover it, and I was left to foot the bill for both the car and the damages. She gave me a sob story about how she needed to meet a friend who was going through a tough time, and I just swallowed it, didn't even ask her to pay for any of it. I guess I'm a pushover. Then, as if that wasn't enough, she started a rumor in the family that my wife and I were on the brink of divorce because of the birth control lie. It spread like wildfire, and before I knew it, relatives were calling me, offering unsolicited advice or just looking for gossip. It was humiliating. But here's where it gets even more twisted. My sister-in-law, she's been having an affair with my best friend. I found out when I came home early from work one day and walked in on them. It was like a punch to the gut. My best friend, who I've known since high school, and my sister-in-law in my own house, while my wife and I were dealing with our own mess. I felt betrayed on so many levels. I confronted them, and there were a lot of tears and apologies, but it was clear my best friend had been using me to get close to her. He knew about my wife's confession and saw an opportunity to swoop in and play the supportive friend. I kicked him out and told him our friendship was over. The aftermath was rough. My wife was devastated by her sister's actions and the affair. She felt like she was to blame because her lie had set off this chain of events. I reassured her that it wasn't her fault, but the damage was done. Our trust in each other and in those around us was hanging by a thread. We decided to go to couples therapy, and it's been helping, slowly. We're learning to communicate better and to rebuild what's been broken. It's not easy, and there are days when I wonder if we'll ever get back to where we were, but we're trying. As for my sister-in-law, she moved out after the affair came to light. I haven't spoken to her since, and I'm not sure I ever will again. She left a path of destruction in her wake, and I'm still picking up the pieces. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, my wife found out she's pregnant again. We were careful, or so I thought, but life has a way of throwing curveballs. We're still processing this news, and I'm not sure what it means for our future. It's been pretty tough, to say the least. But through it all, I've learned that I need to stand up for myself more and not let people walk all over me. I've also learned that forgiveness is hard, but it's necessary if you want to move forward. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.